There's nothing better than trying a brand for the first time. Today we're talking about a new brand to me, a brand that's been around for a while, and I'm talking about Merrell. I took their Agility Peak 5 to the test. In this video, I'm going to cover about the things I like, I didn't like, and honestly, would I buy this shoe? This shoe is the Huckberry version of the shoe, and honestly, Huckberry, you knocked it out of the park. There's nothing better than getting a trail shoe that's not only meant to be functional, but looks freaking rad as well. I do want to point out before I dive into some of the specs and what I like about this shoe, that this shoe was provided to me by Huckberry, but they'll have no say in what I put in this review. This is all my opinions and will always stay that way. Now sit back, relax, and let's talk about the Agility Peak 5. Because I'm a positive guy, I'm going to start with the positives. This shoe honestly was a huge surprise to me. With never honestly running in Merrell before, I always kind of assumed it was like a hiker's kind of shoe. So I never really put it on my radar. But when I got this shoe, the looks, hands down, the first thing I noticed, I love what Huckberry did with the shoe. I love the simple details. Their logo right here, it's not bam in your face. Sometimes when you have a collaboration, you're like, whoa, I know that was a collaboration. But these are subtle things, and I like the colors they're using. I like the desert kind of feel to it. It really just hits the mark for me. The second thing I really liked about this one is I believe it's called Float Pro foam. It's really nice. I've never really run in this shoe before, and honestly, after 30 plus miles, the foam just keeps getting better. The longer I ran, the more I put the miles in, the better it felt underfoot. It just felt really comfortable. I took this on, rode the trails, hit the park. I took this on some gnarly trails, knocked it out of the park. And again, just over and over again, everything I chucked at this foam just felt really, really good. The other thing is Vibram outsole. Personally, if I see Vibram outsole, it just gives me a boost of confidence that this is the rubber that's going to get the job done. And honestly, took this out in some wet runs, muddy runs, it just does the job. Vibram outsole is always money. I do not care about what shoe it is. If you got Vibram, you know you're in good hands. And honestly, overall, I think this shoe just fit my foot really well. It has definitely a little bit wider, not wide, wider than your typical trail shoe. Fit my foot perfectly. I went out for double-digit runs out on the trails. My feet were able to expand. I didn't feel overheated. It just really hit the mark. Again, a lot of things to like about the Agility Peak 5, especially for the first time ever running in the shoe. While I am a positive guy, and I really like the shoe, there are a couple negatives. Again, everything can't be rainbows and butterflies. The big one for me that I noticed, because where I'm at, we had a lot of rain. I found when I did a lot of creek crossings or ran through a lot of rain, it didn't drain well. Again, a lot of the rain runs that I'm doing, there will be creek crossings, and a lot of times your expectation is it will drain and the shoe won't go switch, 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 switch. I did find at times with this shoe, because in the materials they're using, they're pretty padded. It's pretty padded, especially like in the tongue and everything like that. It soaked it up, and it took me a while for it to stop hearing that squish, 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 squish. Again, it's one of those big things. If you know the race you're doing or the trail run you're going to be doing will have a ton of water, you just want to put that in the back of your mind. The shoe performs extremely well. I feel fast in the shoe, but again, those are those little things on a race day that could, derail your race if you're not prepared for it. The other thing is, well, it is pretty darn breathable. We're kind of in a heat wave in Pennsylvania. It can feel a little warm. Not like where I'm kicking it off and I really want to get it off. It's just want to point that out. It runs a little toasty. A lot of trail shoes will, because you have a lot of overlays, but this one I just wanted to point that out. And the last one is, it's not a deal breaker because I figured it out. When I first started running in the shoe, I did have to pull off and readjust the laces. I was getting a little bit of heel slippage. Once I figured it out and I got the shoelace tied, I like it tighter up here, a little bit wider down there. I had no issues. It took me that one time to pull off, fix it, and I didn't have any heel slippage at all. But I do want to point that out. That is something I've heard some people say, that, hey, it took them a while to figure out the laces, but once they did, they were good to go. One thing you can always utilize, this isn't just for looks. You can do the runner's knot, and that will definitely help as well. But again, it did have heel slippage. I want to point it out, but again, I figured it out and it did not derail of it. So honestly, for A shoe like this, that's all of my complaints. So you heard the good, you heard the bad. Now you want to know, would I buy this shoe again and would I recommend this shoe to you? Heck yeah. I will absolutely recommend this shoe to folks. Honestly, Merrell, Huckberry, you knocked it out of the park. This is just a shoe I enjoy running in. And that's the best thing I can say about a shoe. There's a lot of shoes I really like, but when I keep reaching for it, that tells you something. That tells you it's just hitting a lot of marks for me. And personally, where I'm at right now with my running, I'm not going for speed. I'm going for comfort, and I'm just cruising out on the trails. And the Merrell Agility Peak 5 just checks the marks all over it. This is definitely one shoe I would buy. I highly recommend the Huckberry version of this, but honestly, the other versions are just as good. There is no actual, it's just a look difference from Huckberry compared to the other ones. There really is no other spec difference besides the looks. Again, this is definitely a shoe I'm going to continue to be running in this summer and this fall. And honestly, if I was running a 50K right now, this would be on a short list of shoes I'd be putting on my feet. So there you have it. That is the Huckberry Merrell Agility Peak 5. Whew, that's a long name, but it's an absolutely crusher of the trails. Again, this shoe was provided to me by Huckberry, but they have no idea what I am saying, and they will never have an idea what I am saying before I get this video out to you. Now here's the question for you. Have you tried the Agility Peak 5 yet? What did you think? Drop it in the comments. I want to know what you think. And also, if you didn't like this shoe, what is your favorite trail shoe of the year so far?